How an insecure boy amazingly triumphed over Germany. A heartwarming Opel story exposed. Oliver clutched the worn-out notebook as he sat cross-legged on his bedroom floor, his grandfather's voice echoing in his mind like the thunderous roar of engines in battle. Stories of courage and honor danced around him, lifting his spirit even in the darkest times. Here was a boy wrapped in layers of self-doubt in a town that seemed to smile on the outside but often wore a frown beneath. When his father lost his job, it felt like the ground had shifted beneath their feet, leaving them teetering on the brink of despair. Isolation sunk its teeth into him, much like the rusty grip of an old car, but he clung fiercely to the tales of a brave hero in his life, the grandpa who had fought against armies and against odds far greater than mere finances. Tucked away in the back of Mr. Thompson's dusty old mechanic's shop, Oliver found more than just a decrepit place filled with rust and oil. He found a glimmer of hope. Hidden beside boxes of forgotten tools stood an abandoned Opel, a once proud vehicle that had known better days. It was a sight that lit a fire deep within him, sparking an unstoppable yearning. He envisioned transforming that battered beast into a symbol of resilience. He saw himself standing proudly at the regional car show, a spotlight shining on him for once, instead of the shadows. The idea was exhilarating. Yet, as he knelt before the Opel, pick and sandpaper in hand, the struggle ahead loomed large. Each rusted bolt was a cruel reminder of the sneers from classmates who taunted him about his family's misfortunes. "Nice car, Oliver," they'd mock, laughter echoing in his head like the bullet sounds of his grandfather's stories. Doubts gnawed at him, threatening to crush his spirit. Barely able to turn a wrench, he battled not just the mechanical complexities but a tide of humiliation too. Every snag felt like defeat, every broken part a validation of what others thought of him. Still, hope flickered. In the silence of the garage, he gripped the steering wheel of the Opel, remembering every tale of triumph his grandfather shared. Each story infused him with courage, urging him to rise above the limitations cast by others. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the night of the car show approached, Oliver's heart raced, pounding like a hammer against metal. The community all around town was buzzing, and he could feel their stares digging into his back. What if they didn't understand? What if they mocked him again? But then, the memory of the Opel resonated within him. Standing before the crowd, he unveiled it with sweaty palms. It was more than a car. It was his journey, his struggle laid bare, a testament to hard work against the odds. Standing there, a boy in the spotlight, he dared to believe. In that electrifying moment filled with anxiety and hope, he anticipated the verdict, the choice of the judges, the reaction of those once indifferent. Could his effort transform not just his story, but the narrative of his family and the entire town? The air crackled with tension, each whispered remark a small dagger. Yet deep within him, the spirit of a hero stirred, ready to fight. Would they finally see him? Would he finally shine? Oliver's heart pounded in his chest, each beat echoing the unyielding anticipation that enveloped the car show. The lights blazed above him, stark and white, illuminating a space filled with polished chrome and gleaming paint. Each vehicle on display seemed to embody perfection, polished and pristine, a stark contrast to the stubborn rust that clung to the Opel. He wondered if he stood a chance. As he revealed the car, the Opel, he felt a swell of pride wash over him, mingling with the sour taste of doubt. The crowd's murmurs filled the air, a mix of curiosity and skepticism. "What's that junk?" He heard someone snicker, and the laughter pricked his skin, threatening to break through his hard-earned resolve. His fingers tightened around the microphone, which felt foreign in his grip. "This is more than just a car. It's a story." His voice came out steadier than he expected, echoing in the hushed room. He took a deep breath, remembering the late nights spent laboring in the garage, the way the grease mingled with the sweat, reminding him that he was putting himself out there piece by piece, just like the Opel. He began to speak of his grandfather. The stories he heard echoed in his mind: the bravery, the resilience, the triumph against the odds. The words flowed, and he could see the glimmers of interest breaking through the blank expressions of the audience. He talked about his family's struggles, the way his father's lost job had cast shadows on their home, yet how they fought together, and how this car was a symbol of his attempts to rise above it all. Laughter faded, replaced by whispers of understanding. He could see some classmates looking a bit sheepish, the mocking mirth replaced by curiosity. Maybe they were beginning to see him in a different light. Each sentence felt like a kick to the doubts threatening to encircle him once more. Could his passion encapsulated in the battered Opel really matter to them? As Oliver stepped back to allow a few volunteers from the audience to see the car up close, he felt his chest tighten. What if they didn't get it? What if they looked and only saw the rust? But then something unexpected happened. A girl he recognized from school stepped forward, brushing her fingers over the flaked paint, her eyes wide with interest. "I actually love this," she said, turning toward him. "It's really cool how you're restoring it. Like, you made it your own." His heart soared. Maybe there was still hope. Conversations bubbled around him, people sharing their own experiences of hardship. Suddenly, the car wasn't just a beaten Opel. It was a bridge connecting him with others. It was an invitation, a way for him to truly belong. As the judges deliberated, the crowd's attention remained fixed on the Opel. For the first time, Oliver felt part of something bigger. He caught snippets of praise among the gathered crowd, words that warmed his previously heavy heart. They cared, and if they cared, there was a chance he could transform not just their view of the car, but how he perceived himself. And just then, the announcer's voice cut through the buzz. "And the winner of Best in Show is..." Silence fell like a heavy curtain. He could barely breathe, heart racing. His dreams hung on that one moment. Would he finally get the recognition he so deeply craved? Or would he once again find himself grappling with disappointment? The moment stretched out like an eternity, the world around Oliver fading into a blur as he focused on the announcer. The crowd waited, every second stretching tighter around him. He could hear his own heartbeat, mingling with the rustle of excitement in the air. With each tick of the clock, doubt clawed at his confidence. What if they announced another name? A wave of nausea crept in, threatening to drown out the glimmer of hope he had clung to. "And the winner of Best in Show is..." The announcer paused for dramatic effect, scanning the room as though ensuring all eyes were fixed on him. Oliver exchanged a glance with the girl who had praised his Opel, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. It felt surreal to have someone rooting for him, the warmth of unexpected support radiating through the chilly tension of the moment. "Oliver Williams." The words exploded like fireworks, shattering the silence. For a split second, Oliver felt immovable, like a statue carved from stone. Then, reality struck, and a wild rush of joy coursed through him. He bolted toward the stage, not entirely aware of how he made it there, his heart pounding loudly in his ears. The crowd erupted into applause, a cacophony that felt startling and sweet. He could almost taste the disbelief on his lips. This was real. As he accepted the trophy, a gleaming reflection of his hard work, he spotted familiar faces in the crowd. The mockery from earlier seemed like a distant memory, replaced with a recognition that set his heart dancing. He had done it. Yes, it was more than just the trophy. It was a validation of his dedication, a testament that passion can eclipse any initial skepticism. "Congratulations," someone shouted from the crowd. A few classmates approached him, their expressions softened from the earlier ridicule to genuine admiration. They surrounded him, expressing their excitement as if they had just won something, too. It was a feeling he never expected, that he wasn't alone in this victory. They were all drawn together by threads of shared struggles and triumphs. "Can we take a picture with your car?" Another voice piped up, breaking him from his revelry. "Of course. Let us go," he said, grinning ear to ear as they all hurried towards the Opel. As cameras flashed, Oliver understood there was a deeper connection forming. They weren't just celebrating his win. They were acknowledging the journey, the grit behind the car's rust and his spirited resolve. After the initial excitement, a wave of warmth enveloped him. Oliver took a moment to breathe, the cold breeze brushing against his cheek, reminding him of the sweat, tears, and effort he had poured into the Opel. In that instant, the past few months of struggle seemed worth it. But even in that triumph, a small voice whispered at the back of his mind. What came next? Would he be able to keep this validation, this new sense of belonging? What if tomorrow brought back the shadows of doubt? He glanced back at the Opel, now a beacon of connection in his life. One victory led to another, didn't he? Maybe this was just the beginning. Just then, he overheard the conversation of a group nearby, one of them whispering about a classic car race happening in a few weeks. Excitement ignited within him. What if he thought, his pulse quickening with possibilities? What if he dared to take the Opel beyond this show? Would he be brave enough to challenge himself again? As the buzz of victory washed over Oliver, thoughts of the upcoming race fluttered like butterflies in his stomach. He stood there, still holding the trophy, feeling like he was on top of the world. But shadows of self-doubt crept in again, whispering questions he wished would disappear. Could he really do it? Racing felt like stepping into uncharted territory. Did you hear about the race? One of his classmates asked, breaking into his thoughts. Yeah, I'm thinking about it, he replied, trying to sound casual, even though inside, uncertainty gripped him. Dude, you should totally go for it. You've got the award, and everyone else talking about your car, another one chimed in. Their enthusiasm made Oliver's heart race, but not entirely in a good way. What if he didn't measure up? What if the other racers were more experienced? The excitement of the moment began to fade, replaced by that familiar knot in his stomach. Yet, just as doubt threatened to pull him down, he glanced at the Opel. Glimmers of pride gleamed back at him, reminding him of the countless hours spent polishing every rusted corner, the late nights working on the engine, fueled only by determination. This car was more than metal and paint. It was a piece of himself. He pulled away from the group, needing a moment alone. As he walked back toward the parking lot, he imagined the roar of the engine, the thrill of speeding past the finish line with the wind whipping through his hair. The picture painted itself vividly in his mind, the cheers of the crowd, the smell of burnt rubber, the sweet taste of victory. But could he handle it? He leaned against the Opel, letting his fingers glide over the smooth surface. For once, there was a sense of calm. Maybe racing wasn't just about winning. It was about pushing boundaries, proving to himself that he could go further. How often had he let fear silence his passion? Maybe now was the time to silence that fear once and for all. A voice pulled him from his thoughts. Oliver, there you are. It was the girl from before, her bright smile lighting up the twilight. You were amazing up there. Everyone is talking about you. You really inspired a lot of us. Thanks, he said, feeling the warmth spread through him. I was just thinking about that race. You absolutely should. It'll be so much fun. Plus, you'll get to show off your Opel again. Her excitement was infectious, pushing back the lingering shadows. Yeah, you're right. I think I might just do it, he replied, his voice steadier than before. A thrill of determination surged through him. The conversation continued, laughter floating on the cool evening air, uplifting Oliver's spirits further. He realized he wasn't alone in his journey. They had all faced challenges and fears after all. Weren't they all striving for something more? But as the night grew darker, the inner battle raged on. What if he wasn't ready? What if he forgot everything he learned? Was it foolish to chase another dream? Suddenly, the moment felt heavy again, and doubt crept in like shadows at dusk. But there was something different about this time. Felt lighter, more promising. This could be the breakthrough he was waiting for. With each heartbeat, the decision drew closer. Could he embrace this new challenge? As he walked back toward his classmates, a firm resolve formed within him. It was time he stopped letting fear dictate his path. If he was going to race, he would race not just for the trophy or validation, but for something deeper, a celebration of his journey, a testament to his growth. Are you in? The girl asked, and his heart raced at the thought of breaking through. "Absolutely," he replied, confidence swelling in his chest. But little did he know that the racing world was filled with unexpected turns, and the true test was just around the corner. What awaited him there would push him in ways he never imagined. The sun peeked over the horizon, casting a warm glow across the parking lot as Oliver stood next to the Opel. He could still feel the lightness in his chest from last night's decision. Today was the day he'd head to the race meet. The sound of engines revving and the smell of gasoline danced in his imagination like a thrilling promise. As he prepared to leave, brushing his fingers once more along the car's sleek body, a mixture of nerves and excitement began to swirl within him. Would today be the day he proved to everyone and most importantly, to himself that he was more than just a kid with a dream? Oliver. It was his friend Alex, hurrying down the sidewalk, his backpack bouncing with each step. "You ready for this?" "Yeah, I think so," Oliver replied, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "Just think about what you've done. You've already won a trophy. This is your time to shine," Alex encouraged, slapping Oliver on the back. Riding in Alex's car, Oliver felt the familiar butterflies return, gnawing at him. The conversation flowed easily, laughter filling the small space like music. Yet, amidst the jokes, he couldn't shake the feeling of dread that clung to him. What if he didn't belong? What if he laughed and cheered but fell flat on the track? When they arrived, the atmosphere was electric. Cars of all shapes and sizes lined the stretch, each one promising its own tale of speed and precision. Crowds gathered, a colorful sea of fans, their excited chatter buzzing around him like a swarm of bees. Suddenly, the reality set in. Looking at the other cars, a dazzling array of meticulously maintained vehicles, Oliver felt small, nearly invisible. Perhaps they were all better prepared. Every polished surface and custom paint job seemed like a testament to experience. A world he simply didn't belong to yet. "Hey, check out that one." Alex pointed at a sleek sports car with a vibrant red finish and a perfectly tuned engine. It was a head-turner for sure. "Wouldn't that be amazing to race?" "Yeah," Oliver muttered, feeling a lump form in his throat. "Simon, man, don't let it get to you. You've got the heart and spirit," Alex said, noticing his friend's sudden slump. "Forget about perfection. Just focus on your passion." Taking a deep breath, Oliver turned towards his Opel. He remembered the late nights, the sweat and the relentless hope that poured into building it. This car wasn't just metal. It was his story, woven through every turn of the wrench. Before long, the race coordinator began calling drivers to line up. The sound of engines started to thrum like a heartbeat, pulsing through the air. Oliver's heart joined in, racing faster. Oliver. Another familiar face appeared. It was the girl from the night before, her bright smile buoying him. "You're not backing out, right?" "No way," he grinned. "Good." She winked, then turned to head toward the crowd. Emboldened, Oliver stepped towards the staging area. He clutched the steering wheel of his Opel, taking in the familiar scent of the worn leather seats and the faint traces of oil. His heart pounded like a bass drum as he positioned the car on the track. With each moment, he felt the weight of the crowd's anticipation. But he wasn't just another competitor. He was Oliver, the kid who dared to chase his dream. The countdown began, the sound echoing in his ears like thunder. 3, 2, 1, and then it happened. The green flag dropped, and everything shifted. The Opel roared to life. But as he pressed the gas, a voice in his head screamed, "What if?" And that when the first challenge of the race hit him like a brick wall. Would he rise to the occasion, or would he falter before the finish line? The road ahead twisted with uncertainty, and Oliver's journey had only just begun. The engine of the Opel roared as Oliver felt his excitement mix with fear. The world blurred around him, the crowd's cheers fading into mere background noise as he focused on the road ahead. His hands tightened around the steering wheel, knuckles white against the dark leather. Accelerating, he found himself neck and neck with a rival. The guy in the souped-up Mustang was fast, and for a moment, Oliver worried he might lose control of his own car. It swerved slightly, and Oliver instinctively countered, tapping the brakes before reapplying pressure to the gas. The unfamiliar sensation of speed surged through him, exhilarating and terrifying all at once. He glanced at the rival driver, whose face was obscured by a helmet, but even behind the visor, Oliver could sense the confidence radiating from him, a reminder of how far he had to go. Thoughts of inadequacy crept back, the nagging voice warning him that he was in over his head. But then, he remembered last night the laughter with Alex, the glow of hope as he tightened that last bolt on the Opel, the supportive gaze of the girl who had smiled at him. Those images ignited a flame within, pushing the unpleasant thoughts aside. This wasn't just about speed, it was about heart. With renewed determination, he shifted gears and surged ahead, feeling the wind whip through his hair. It was invigorating, a rush beyond anything he had ever experienced. The speedometer climbed, the hum of the engine matching the beat of his heart. He was flying, truly living in that moment. But just as he felt a glimmer of triumph, the Mustang veered to block him. Panic surged in his chest as he struggled to maneuver around it. "Focus, Oliver. You can do this," he whispered, gripping the wheel tighter. The Opel responded beautifully. He swerved, narrowly avoiding the Mustang and finding a clear path. The road ahead opened up, and adrenaline surged through his veins. The engine roared louder as if cheering him on. Along the lap, he began to pass other cars, their drivers unsure, but for him the confidence blossomed. Laughter bubbled up inside him, freeing him from his fears. This was his moment. As he approached the final turn, he spotted a gap. "Squeeze through it," he urged himself. He steered into the corner, the tires squealing as they fought for grip. The feel of victory danced on the tip of his fingers as he barreled forward. But before he could blink, he felt the tire on the verge of slipping. "No, not now," he gasped, fighting against the loss of control. He held his breath, heart hammering, as he regained grip just in time, allowing him to shoot forward once more. Crossing the finish line, he felt the familiar rush of joy crash over him like a wave. He had done it, overcome the fears that clutched at him. He didn't just participate. He had pushed himself further than ever before. The crowd erupted in cheers, but among the noise, there was a singular voice that stood out. "Oliver, you did it." It was her again, the girl. Her enthusiasm washed over him like sunlight. His heart swelled, that warmth unfurling deep within. Maybe he wasn't just a kid with a dream after all. Maybe this was the beginning of something transformative. But as he stepped out of the car, feeling the excitement of victory, a sudden realization hit him hard. Was this just a fluke? Or could he really keep chasing this dream? With uncertainty looming at the edge of his triumph, he felt his breath catch in his throat. Would this moment propel him forward? Or would he be left wondering what could have been? The race had ended, but his journey was just getting started. The roar of the crowd lingered in his ears, an echo of victory that felt both exhilarating and daunting. Oliver stood by the Opel, the engine still humming softly, a reminder of what he just achieved. But as the sweat dried on his brow, a real question gnawed at him. Could he really keep this momentum going? The girl, the one who had cheered him on, was weaving through the crowd, her hair catching the afternoon light. He watched as she laughed with friends, her smile bright, and something about her presence twisted his stomach in knots. He was proud of what he accomplished but terrified that any connection with her might shatter under the weight of his insecurities. "Great job out there." Alex slapped him on the back, pulling him from his thoughts. "I didn't think you'd pull that off. You were amazing." "Thanks," Oliver managed, trying to sound more confident than he felt. His friend's enthusiasm was infectious. Yet Oliver couldn't shake the voice inside him, whispering that it was a one-time thing, that he'd just gotten lucky. "Come on, let us celebrate. There's a party at Denny South over on 5th Street. You're buying the first round." Alex laughed, pulling him towards the throng of excited drivers and their throbbing engines. "Sure," Oliver replied, though the tension in his chest didn't ease. Would they really celebrate him? Or were they just caught up in the thrill of the race? Did he even belong in their world? As they approached the front of Denny's, the energy shifted from adrenaline to exhilaration. People exchanged stories about their races, laughing with victory and sometimes frustration. The atmosphere was electric, but Oliver felt like an outsider looking in, like he was on the outside of a glass wall. His heart raced, but now it was from anxiety, not speed. "Hey, you made it!" The girl waved at him, and when he looked into her eyes, the world dimmed around them. "Mia," she introduced herself, her smile infectious. "That was some insane driving." Thanks," he stammered, suddenly acutely aware of how underdressed he felt next to her vibrant confidence. "It's just, well, I was trying not to crash." She laughed, a light and airy sound that soothed him somehow. "You kept it together. That's what matters. You pushed through the fear. That's more than most can say." Her words lingered like a warm whisper, igniting a sense of possibility deep inside him. Maybe he could keep pushing beyond his limits. "Do you race often?" she asked, genuinely curious. "Not really," he answered, his voice steadying. "That was my first real race." Her gaze remained steady, and for a moment, it felt like the rest of the world had faded away. "I think you can really go far, you know. Not just with racing, but in general. You've got heart." For the first time since crossing the finish line, Oliver felt that flicker of belief blossom inside him. Maybe I want to try more." "Good," she beamed. "I'll be cheering for you all the way. We need more people like you in this sport." A shift took place deep within him. All the fear, the doubt, the uncertainty started to unravel. Maybe he wasn't just some kid with a dream after all. Maybe he was more that. As the party kicked into high gear, the laughter and conversation began to fill the gaps in his heart. Yet another thought floated in the back of his mind. What if the next race was even harder? What if he failed? Just as uncertainty loomed again, the crowd erupted in a cheer, someone announcing their next race. A fresh wave of anxiety washed over Oliver. Could he really face this again? "Ready for another challenge, Oliver?" Alex called, breaking through his swirl of thoughts. "What if I can't?" he whispered to himself, even as he tasted the sweet promise of hope lingering in the air around him. Mia caught his eye again, her encouraging smile painting a picture of potential. Was he ready to pursue something greater, or would he step back into the shadows of doubt? The thrill of the unknown beckoned him. The journey was far from over, and somehow, amidst the uncertainty, he knew this was only the beginning. But could he find the courage to embrace whatever lay ahead? The chatter in the bar swelled around Oliver, each conversation a heartbeat of bravado and joy that he struggled to immerse himself in. The laughter felt vibrant, a colorful tapestry woven with energy. Yet, he felt stuck, watching from the sidelines, his mind racing with doubts. "Come on, man." Alex's voice broke through again, filled with enthusiasm. "You're the star tonight. Let us grab that round." Alex nudged him forward, but Oliver lingered behind, the weight of possibility heavy on his shoulders. Mia drifted closer, her presence drawing him like a moth to light. "You all right?" she asked, her brow slightly furrowed with concern. The concern in her voice struck a chord he didn't know was there. "Just thinking about what's next," he confessed, the vulnerability spilling out before he could filter it. "Next? You've got to just enjoy the moment. Celebrate this win," she replied, her eyes sparkling with an infectious excitement. "I don't know. What if this is all I have? What if I can't keep it up? Then you pick yourself up and try again. That's what champions do," she said warmly, and it was as if a flicker of fire kindled inside him. He watched her, absorbing every word. Something about her unwavering belief in him began to chase away the self-doubt. For a moment, he allowed himself to imagine chasing more races, more victories. To her, he wasn't just another driver. He was a challenger with potential. "Hey, Oliver." The voice belonged to Simon, a renowned racer in the local scene, sliding into their conversation. "You're the talk of the night, man. The kid who shook things up. Yeah, you should join us next time we hit the track." Alex cheered, slapping him on the back again. "But that was a fluke," Oliver blurted, almost reflexively, the words unfiltered. "I don't know if I can do it again." Simon raised an eyebrow, a smirk forming on his face. "Listen, no one just drops onto the podium. You've got to keep pushing. Everyone starts as a rookie." Amateurs talk about luck. Professionals talk about practice. Practice? The idea settled heavily, overwhelming him for a moment. That means time, effort, failure. Of course, Simon nodded, shrugging. You either put in the work or stand still. What do you want, man? Oliver felt the room dip in silence, everyone waiting for his response. The noise of the bar seemed to fade, replaced by the hum of his heart in his chest. He caught Mia's eye again, her smile pressing him forward. I want to race, he declared, the words spilling from him with new conviction. A cheer erupted from Alex and Simon, and Oliver felt the warmth of their support flood over him. But beneath the cheers lay a sense of seriousness. He knew that statement meant digging deeper than he ever had before. Then let us get you on the track. We practice next week, Simon said, his voice strong. You'll crush it. I can guarantee it. Next week, Oliver repeated, trepidation unwinding ever so slightly in his chest. Was he ready to jump into the unknown just like that? Mia leaned closer. See? You're already on the right path. Just think of it as another chance to be great. Her faith felt like a lifeline, though a storm of doubts still swirled inside him. There, in the middle of a crowded bar, he found a spark of determination. But as excitement coursed through him, another question flickered into mind. What if trying harder meant facing parts of himself he had long avoided? As the night rolled on, laughter and cheers surrounded him. Oliver stood on the brink, but the big question loomed ever larger. Would he have the strength to confront his fears head-on, or would he retreat once again to safety? The atmosphere buzzed, and he knew tomorrow would hold the promise of a challenge unlike any he had faced before. What lay ahead was uncertain, but in that uncertainty, a glimmer of hope began to shine brightly. Could he withstand the pressure of practice and the possibility of real failure without being crushed? The following week arrived faster than Oliver anticipated. An electrifying sense of excitement wrapped around him as he stood in front of the racetrack, the air thick with adrenaline and ambition. He could hear cars roaring in the distance, tires tearing up asphalt, engines growling like wild beasts ready to pounce. It was intoxicating. Oliver took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. This was it, the moment when he'd either soar or stumble hard. Today was about facing everything he had leaned into the week before, the hopes, the fears, and, most importantly, the promise he made to himself. He wanted to race. Hey, ready to show the world what you've got? Simon's voice sliced through the rush of Oliver's thoughts. He was all smiles, his confidence radiating. Yeah, I think so. Oliver's voice shook slightly, yet there was an edge to the determination swelling in his chest. Just remember to have fun, Simon urged, patting him on the shoulder. You're here to learn. Embrace it, and watch out for those corners. Mia appeared beside him, her eyes shining. I know you can do this, Oliver. The simple statement felt like a warm blanket on a chilly night. She smiled, and for the first time that day, he felt his nerves ebb away, replaced by the warmth of possibility as they stepped closer to the track. The atmosphere buzzed with eager energy. Fellow racers were warming up, their cars stationed nearby, engines rumbling like they too anticipated a challenge. First warm-up lap, Simon explained, guiding him through the logistics. Just hold steady and find your rhythm. For now, it's all about feeling the car. Oliver nodded, swallowing hard. As he climbed into the driver's seat, the familiar smell of gasoline and rubber surrounded him. He gripped the steering wheel, feeling the cool texture under his palms. This was his moment. Engine revving, he coaxed the car forward, the roar echoing in his ears as the tires gripped the track. He felt alive. As he glided onto the circuit, the rhythm of the tires on pavement became a soothing song, each curve a delicate dance he was learning to master. For the first time, he understood why he loved this, the freedom of speed, the thrill of control. But as he approached the first turn, doubt reared its ugly head again. What if I mess this up? Fear threatened to snuff out the fire ignited within him. He imagined the worst. Crashing, letting down his friends, the embarrassment of failure. He tightened his grip, fighting back the thoughts. Focus, he whispered to himself. Just take the corner. With a surge of determination, He flipped the wheel with precision. The car responded beautifully, and before he knew it, he was flying through the turn, the wind whipping through his hair. Cheering echoed from the sidelines, a rush of support that pushed him onward, igniting a spark in his chest. Each lap felt like a step away from the boy who was scared of failure, and closer to a racer who belonged among the engines and asphalt. By the time the session came to an end, Oliver parked the car with a rush of exhilaration. It felt electric, a mixture of success and the low hum of adrenaline still buzzing through him. As he emerged from the vehicle, the roar of cheers from his friends filled the air. "You did it," Mia shouted, throwing her arms around him. Her embrace squeezed the fear right out of him, replaced by a triumphant surge of hope. "You actually did it." His heart raced, not just from speed, but from the realization that he had faced his fears one lap at a time. "Yeah, but it was just practice," he began, half smiling, but stopped when he caught Simon's piercing gaze. "Practice leads to greatness." "This is just the beginning," Simon said confidently. "Now, are you ready to practice harder?" Oliver's heart pounded in his chest, and he met Simon's eyes with renewed fervor. He felt ready, but there was still that lingering shadow of doubt scuttling in the corners of his mind. But there would be more laps, more chances to push himself. What lay ahead was only part of the journey. What if the next challenge pushed him into uncharted territory, forcing him to confront not just the fears of racing, but those rooted deep inside? As excitement brewed, a new question crept in. Could he continue growing under the weight of expectations, or would that pressure finally break him? Oliver stood at the starting line, his heart racing, drumming like a wild stallion inside his chest. Today was about more than just racing. It was about proving to himself that he was more than what he once believed, a boy wrestling with self-doubt who transformed into a courageous contender. As he looked out over the crowd, he could see familiar faces in the sea of spectators. Alex, Mia, the classmates who had once mocked him, now rallying behind him. The air buzzed with anticipation, a palpable charge that ignited a fire in his belly. This was it, the moment he had been building towards. The race wasn't just another event. It was a chance to take everything he had learned and apply it in a whirlwind of speed and heart. He inhaled deeply, the sharp scent of gasoline and burnt rubber filling his lungs, grounding him in that moment. The countdown began, and he felt the car vibrate beneath him, the engine humming like a restless beast eager to leap. 3, 2, 1. The flag dropped like a gunshot, and he roared forward. The thrill swept over him, the wind whipping through his hair as he pushed the gas pedal down further. Adrenaline coursed through his veins, drowning out the whispers of doubt. This was freedom, pure and exhilarating. He maneuvered through the first turn with confidence, his earlier fears fading like mist in the sunlight. His mind raced, not just with strategy for the track, but with flashes of memories: the late nights wrenching on the Opel, Mia's encouraging smile, the laughter shared with friends, and the tales of his grandfather echoing in his heart. He was not just racing for himself. He raced for everyone who believed in him. But as he rounded the first lap, he noticed his rival, the same Mustang from before, tailing closely behind him, pushing him to stay alert. Sweat dripped down his brow, and he could feel the hitch of anxiety creeping back. What if he let everyone down? What if he faltered? "Focus!" he urged himself, gripping the wheel tightly, pouring all his energy into the course ahead. Oliver took deep breaths, reminding himself that this wasn't just about winning. It was about the journey, the grit, the growth. As he opened the throttle, he leaned into the curves, feeling the car respond to his movements, almost like a dance partner swaying fluidly to the music. The laps blurred into a rhythm, and with each turn, he felt more like the driver he was meant to be. Cheers from the crowd washed over him like a warm tide, wrapping him in support. He felt pulled, not just by other racers, but by heaving waves of encouragement. Then he was coming up to the final stretch. It was all or nothing now. The Mustang veered close, urging him to speed up. The finish line flickered in the distance, a promise of achievement. Every doubt surged forward. What if it wasn't enough? But instead of succumbing to fear, Oliver leaned into the moment. He pressed down on the accelerator, heart ablaze. The roar of the engine filled his ears like a symphony. As he approached the finish line, everything shifted into slow motion. He crossed it, feeling the rush of victory ripple through him like a tidal wave. The crowd erupted, a cacophony of joy that enveloped him, lifting him high. He had done it, not just crossed the finish line, but smashed through the barriers of his own insecurities. He was racing not only for victory but celebrating every ounce of growth he had experienced along the way. Mia rushed to him, her face radiant with pride. "You did it, Oliver. You really did it." She threw her arms around him, and he hugged her tightly, letting the warmth of her embrace wash over him, healing and invigorating. In that moment, Oliver realized that victory wasn't just in the trophy or in the time on the clock. It was about connection, about surpassing old limits, about being part of something bigger than himself. Today was a triumph not just in racing, but in life. That he turned to the crowd, seeing faces aglow with excitement. In their eyes he found acceptance, support, and recognition. He was no longer just the insecure boy. He was Oliver Williams, a racer and a dreamer. As the sun set behind him, casting golden hues over the track, he spotted the next challenge, an upcoming event with cars gleaming under the sky. And for the first time, uncertainty didn't scare him. Instead, it felt like an invitation to soar even higher. Building on each experience, Oliver knew he wouldn't just chase victories, but would continue to embrace challenges, each one a step towards becoming the person he aspired to be. So he raised his trophy high, letting it glimmer in the soft light, and shouted to the crowd, "This is just the beginning." With hearts full and spirits lifted, the journey was far from over. It was about to expand in ways he had never imagined. Now it's your turn. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support can change lives, and only true fans understand the importance of joining this journey.